Hello and welcome to Children in the Fields Campaign's Live Thursday. I'm Kendra Mosley, who you've seen almost every week since March. So welcome back. I'm here today with two very special guests. Guest Victor Canales Gamiño from staff. He's the Youth Organizing Director, and America Juarez Maldonado. She is also a staff. She's a summer intern and is now a staff Solidaridad. Did I say that correctly? So welcome to both of you. We're happy to have you join us. So today we are going to talk about the internship program that staff runs in the summer, specifically just because America was placed with a lot of farmworker children in the Head Start program in South Carolina. But also because, this is a strange time. COVID derailed a lot of plans this summer for farmworker organizations. We had to really retool a lot of our programs, and I know that was certainly true for staff. And they still had a very successful summer and advocated successfully and made a big impact in farmer communities in the Carolinas. So we really want to highlight their work and spread the stories of the things that they've learned through the internship. And also, before we get started, my spiel, I usually ask you all to log in, say who you are, where you're from, what you do, if it's relevant. And please type in any questions that you have into the chat. We are here for the next hour, give or take a few minutes. So please don't be shy to ask questions. In terms of announcements, I don't have very many to make, except that this week and going forward, we are going to be highlighting all of the winners from the 2020 Art and Essay Contest. There's some really beautiful artwork, some really moving essays, and we just want to make sure that they get the attention that they deserve, because this year especially, all of our entrants worked especially hard to get those entries in the mail. Artwork is something you can't really do. You can't really submit electronically, so they still had to get those to the post office, and we were very thrilled that the contest actually came off and that we have a lot of really amazing stories again to tell. So without further ado, I want to say welcome to Victor and America. Let's get started. Victor, I have a few questions for you just to give everyone a sense of what staff does. Can you tell us just briefly what Student Action with Farmworkers is and the programs that they operate?
Yeah, definitely. First of all, thank you, Kendra and AFOP for inviting us to go live today with y'all. It's awesome. I've heard of AFOP even before I joined SAF, because I used to work with the University of Idaho, and we did the long sleeve shirt drive. And it was thanks through y'all, that we heard about it, and we support it, and we brought all the shirts that we collected. We brought all the shirts to the Community Council of Idaho, where they shared it with their farm worker community in Idaho. But yeah, again, my name is Victor Canales Gamiño. I am the Youth Organizing Director with SAF. And SAF is really, just like the name, Student Action with Farmworkers, it's really, we're about bringing students and farmworkers together to create social change, and more importantly, to create a more just agricultural system for farmworkers. And so SAF really started, the idea of SAF, or the concept of SAF started back in the 1970s, when there was a child psychiatrist and a Duke professor who invited Duke students to go on a summer-long project, and just to document, the conditions of labor camps and the conditions that migrant farm workers lived in. And they documented it, and then they presented this information in front of OSHA. And thanks to that and all their efforts, they were able to create the North Carolina Farm Worker Legal Services. So that was the main concept and idea. And then around the 1990s, the Center for Documentary Studies, which is at Duke University, received a grant from the Department of Education. And so with this grant, it literally started the idea of the summer internship. So it brought together students from UNC and Duke, and did this summer internship. And the 1991, we had the first, students, but it wasn't until 1992 when one of the summer interns from 1990 actually, brought together the idea of, creating SAF officially, making it a nonprofit in 1992. And so ever since then, that was the year that we had the first official into the fields internship, and actually, or one of those interns is actually our executive director right now, which is Melinda Wiggins. And so, yeah, that pretty much sums up the story about what SAF is. We ever since then we have worked with over 1,000 college students and community, and obviously more and more community members. But that's really the how SAF really started. We have different programs. So we have the Levante Leadership Institute, and that's our SAF youth group. That's our high school youth group. That's the one I coordinate. So I work with high school students in Sampson County and Johnston County in North Carolina. And so it's the same concept. We talk to our students about advocating for our community, for our farm worker community, empowering themselves and the community, and uplifting the voices of farm workers. And and we also provide that access to higher education, because as you know, there's a lot of barriers for farm worker youth to access even a college visit. So we provide transportation, we provide programming, we provide a scholarship for students who participate in our program every year. And we also provide internet, a hotspot that we pay for, and we provide technology to either a computer or like a tablet or an iPad for students, so that they're always connected to us, and they are able to do their homework, and their families can connect to their other families nationwide or outside of the country. And so that's the Levante Leadership Institute. We also have the Solidaridad internship, which is our academic year internship program for college students who live near our office. So from UNC, like America, from Duke University, Chapel Hill, and any other universities around the area. And so they're like pretty much like they work with us as similar to the work study program, the federal work study program. And so they're assigned to each staff member, each program, and they support us in the programming. We also have From the Ground Up, which is pretty much like our community organizing or grassroots organizing piece. And so we do a lot of campaigns. Right now, SAF is working with the Farmworker Advocacy Network to call out the governor, because they're neglecting farm workers right now. They're not enforcing the similar protections that other industries are getting. And so right now we have many campaigns going on, making sure that the governor follows through on his word on issuing an executive order, and also the Commissioner of Labor follows through on enforcing existing laws, and the Department of Agriculture similarly, and the Department of Health and Human Services. So there's many key players, in fact. So we're working on that piece of advocating and piece, yeah. And then we have the Into the Fields internship, which is a unique program, which is in the summer. We bring in college students from all over the country. But because of the pandemic this year, we had to focus on local students. So we brought in students mostly from North Carolina and South Carolina, and maybe other surrounding states. And so the unique thing about this program is that the students, half of the students come from a farm worker background, and the other half don't. So that's another thing that we do on purpose to bring students who don't have those similar backgrounds to come and work together and create that I guess allyship. And so. And the Into the Fields program, this year it was kind of like a hybrid program. So some of the interns were in person, and some of them were virtually with some of the sites. But yeah, there's that unique distinction that with the Into the Fields internship program, some of the students are from a farm worker background, and some of them are not.
Yeah. We've worked with staff for many years on different projects, so it's exciting to hear. Actually, the Community Council of Idaho is one of our APOP members as well, so it's kind of like a perfect circle. Like it all came back around.
Yeah.
And you lead the National Farm Worker Awareness Week, which we always participate in. So you guys do a lot of great work, and it's good to hear about it. You already answered my question about the internship program. So I want to know how you got involved. You mentioned briefly offline that you also were an intern at one point right there.
Yeah, so it's interesting because I've been a product of a lot of programs, some federal programs. So In Idaho, I was a part of the migrant education program. So I was a student from since I arrived from Mexico. I'm from Guanajuato. I was 8 years old, and I was enrolled in the migrant education program. And when I was in high school, they were the ones who connected me to the college assistance migrant program at the University of Idaho.
Yeah.
And so they were the ones who supported me, and then they were the ones who connected me to SAF, Student Action with Farmworkers. So I think I've always been a product of these programs that are supporting farm worker youth. And so I did the internship here with SAF, the Into the Fields internship, and I was placed with Legal Aid of North Carolina Farm Worker Unit. And then after I graduated from the University of Idaho, I was hired to work as a paralegal with, with Legal Aid. And then I went back to the University of Idaho to work with CAMP as a recruiter for 5 years. And then the position opened up with SAF as the youth organizing director, and I applied and I moved back to North Carolina. So I've been back and forth, but always, I guess my whole career has been working with the farm worker community, the community that I grew up in.
I feel like every dollar spent on migrant education results in so many dollars yield in results. And we've seen that also in our AFOP membership. And we have a job training program. We have metrics that are off the charts compared to other job training programs, because farm workers, more than anyone, are motivated to make their lives better, given the opportunity. So we're big believers in migrant education. So yeah, just a belated congratulations to the staff internship class of 2020 for completing their summer internship. Can you just give me a sense of how many participants there were and like what the places were?
Yeah. So we had 20 participants this year. Every year we have about 20 participants, and two of those were program assistants. So and these are the program assistants are generally alumni, so they had already participated in a program with us before, and so we give them that extra, leadership and office, experience, because I know it's needed. So we had two program assistants, and then we had the rest were interns. And then we have one fellow who is still on the working with us right now until October or November. And so a lot of the placements were in farm worker health, health clinics. We had some in migrant education. We had some in legal aid, and then we had some we have a lobbyist. It's called New Frame LLC, and we had an intern who was working lobbying for bills that support farm workers and bills that are anti-farm worker. So we had about 20. We had 20 interns. We did because of the pandemic, we couldn't really go all out. So this year we reached out about 660 farm workers through our interns. We did a lot of food drop-offs. We dropped off masks. We dropped off a lot of PPE, to the labor camps. Some of us were out, supporting other organizations who were doing food distributions. And so I'm just trying to make sure we dropped off the interns did about 687 masks themselves from like t-shirts. And then we also
made them.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Wow,
So they made
awesome.
Yeah. And then we also had donations of 4,000 masks that we also distributed to the interns and to other organizations that we work with, so they could distribute them to a farm worker community. We also, did a lot of newsletters, news articles, Facebook activity, social media activity, and we also did a lot of census and COVID calls. So some of the interns were, calling farm workers, asking about symptoms and stuff like that, and also encouraged them to fill out the census. And some, yeah, but
yes, and so I want to give a special congratulations to America for getting the you said it's an academic scholarship for the Solidaridad program?
Academic internship.
Academic internship. So congratulations, America. So you have the pleasure of being both a staff alumna and a current staff intern again, right? So I have a few questions for you. Just to start out, can you tell us about yourself and your background and what brought you to apply to the staff internship?
So I am a first generation Mexican American. student at UNC Chapel Hill. I'm a double major in environmental studies and public policy. Um, First, mi mama, like my mom is from Durango and my dad is from DF Nicolás Romeo. Um, I grew up in Durham my whole life, so Durham, North Carolina. Um, I don't come from a farm worker background, but my first year at UNC, I got to meet a lot of sophistas who really talked and, they even some of them even come from a farm worker background, so they told me a lot about their experience, and learning more about the injustices that farm worker face. It made me want to become a part of the movement. I wanted to be a change. I wanted to become a resource at that moment. So I applied to the Into the Fields internship and I got it. And now I'm here.
Congratulations. Where were you placed? Were you on site or virtual? And what were your assigned tasks?
So I was on site. I was placed in the migrant education program in South Carolina. Majority of the tasks were as for staff was documentary and creating masks, and then for my placement we created videos for parents about governance. One thing I want to mention is I love the way Head Start includes parents, and like parents are really involved. And then I also did some food drops with Head Start, dropping off food at camps or to families, and I mentored students. So I got to meet a lot of the families and just do activities with them or give them some lessons from school. And yeah.
I'm going to share, hang on one second, the website where you all put your field notes. So hang on one second while I put that on the screen. America had some really very insightful reflections from her internship. So I just want you all to see that website. So you can go there and find field notes from all the interns, not just America. But America, you mentioned in that in those reflections that you really identified with some of the students, the kids that felt like they weren't included, they weren't important, and so that they had a lack of self-confidence that they would need to get to where they need to be for their education. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so when I just remember talking to the students. There was this one kid that really I was really shocked because he just talked about how he didn't see himself getting a higher education, um, and he only saw himself like working in the field. And at least from what I know, a teacher told him that. So to hear that, it really upset me. I was really angry, just because like as a kid, you really take things as word by word, so you don't really know really. And also like talking to them, they really lack confidence in like subjects, so like reading or writing or science. They were like, oh, I don't like it, so I'm not gonna do anything about it. And as a kid, I remember I hated reading. I did not like it, so every time I scored low, I was like, yeah, no, I don't like doing this. But that it was because I didn't have the confidence and wanting to improve my scores. And so I really thought about that, and I saw myself in them. And it's like not only coming from like a Latinx background, it's just being that one person to tell them that he is capable of doing that, that he's strong, and that anything that he does, he's able to do. It's not, it's like it really got me angry when I heard that. And also like I've experienced kids who didn't want to read just because they didn't feel confident in reading. So it was like confidence really does play a huge role in a child's development in education.
Yeah, I wonder how many words of affirmation are needed to counteract each negative thing that you hear, and especially from a teacher. I mean, how damaging that can be to hear from your own teacher that you aren't good at something. Anyone can be good at anything if they have the confidence to tackle it. So yeah, thank you for doing your part to level that out again and help motivate them to do their best. So my next question was, just describe your typical day on the job with Migrant Head Start, or throughout the week.
My typical day throughout the week kind of changed over time, but every Monday we started off with around 10 a.m. with a career seminar, so meeting people who worked at like the government level in education in South Carolina, or meeting people who worked in the migrant education program or in Head Start. And then after that, we have like daily check-ins with my supervisor, which I really appreciated because it was a pandemic, everything was virtual. As well as after that we would do outreach, so that's where we would go to lodge and do activities with students. Then later on throughout the week we would have also daily check-ins with staff, and we would do activities like creating face masks or learning about cultural humility, and it would be a lot of I really appreciated that from staff too, like being able to learn that is a life lesson to learn and kind of educate yourself of the current problems that are going on. But it would other times we would work virtually. So when we work virtually, we would work on the governance video, and we also had like different meetings. But I feel like every week was different, but it was majority of outreach and doing food drops.
So can you tell us more about the documentary project? I hear it's really good.
Yes. So one thing that I liked about the documentary is that at least since we were working with kids, we did literacy through photography.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, in a way, every time we talk to the students, we would always ask them to like take a picture. And just hearing their stories and like what they would take a picture of was really interesting. The documentary, I feel like, really allowed them to kind of learn in a way or express themselves differently instead of just writing, but through photography. Like, what do they really see, and how do they really, I guess, convey that?
Mm-hmm. Victor, is that coming out anytime soon, or can I give a link for that? You're still muted. Let me see if I can unmute you. There you go. Try again. That's okay if it's not coming through. we'll share it later on our page if you all send that to me. So America, how when you were with the kids, what were the protocols for preventing coronavirus?
So we would keep our distance, wear masks, always carried hand soap and water to like wash our hands after. We would also have like a table that kept our distance from the students, so we would still be able to sit, but we had our distance, and we would always disinfect after use. So we kind of just try keeping that as a routine, just because, of course, we didn't want to spread anything in case we did have it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. Migrant Head Start is such an essential resource for the farm worker community. And it was hard for them to stay open, but I'm glad for those that could, just so that fewer families had to take their kids to the fields or have to figure something else out. Because as we know, with farm worker families, both the parents almost always have to work to make ends meet. Otherwise, as we constantly say on this platform here on Facebook, it's more incentive for the kids to end up in the fields and to end up farm workers themselves at whatever age, because if they're with their parents, they're going to end up working, either because their parents may ask them to, or they just see that their parents are working and they want to help and lessen their burden. So then the next question, so I have to keep paging back and forth. What are some of the lessons that you learned from the experience with Into the Fields?
I feel like I learned a lot of lessons from being an intern, but I think one of the main ones is learning how to advocate. I think it's really important to understand that we need to uplift the voices and as well allow those who have experienced it to speak and not tell their story. So I thought that was really important, at least to know your role in the movement, I think is one of the main lessons that I learned.
That's great. And how do you think this experience will influence your career path?
I feel like it really solidified like what I want to do in the future, which is become a political figure for um, mainly representing like the Latinx community because there's a lack of representation for us. And I think a lot of politicians are there to talk and not act. And it really annoys me when they just say things. They're like, yes, we agree with you, but then they don't do anything to change it. And I feel like a lot of them, they kind of lack even the experience or even talking to the people who are in that community. And then is like this continuation of groups being marginalized throughout time, you know? And I want to be that politician who actually says and acts and provides those right resources to those communities, only to improve, not to worsen them.
I hope you get there because that would be huge. Um, I know that the few advocates that we have on the national stage and also for states are really effective. You know, it really matters when you have someone at the table who understands the farm worker experience and who won't compromise. I mean, there's compromise involved in politics, but there are some things that shouldn't be compromised on, like basic rights.
I totally agree on that. When we had our career seminars, one of the main barriers were just the differences that they had. And I feel like that's when you think about it, it shouldn't be like a partisan issue. It should just be an issue for the student that if they don't have those resources and need, sorry, there's a need of change, you know? And I feel like there's just being an intern, I learned a lot more about even the differences between urban areas and rural areas and how they lack resources. Even then, there's like a difference in that too. I thought was really crazy, but I certainly agree.
So what advice would you have to offer for farm worker children who are working and studying hard and hoping to get where you are right now? And do mention exactly where that is, because I want to make sure that everyone knows about UNC Chapel Hill.
Yeah. So my advice is for sure to like keep going. I certainly grew up having to translate or having to fill out my own forms and having to like be independent with my own education, having to like teach myself how to work this education system on my own, finding my own resources. And it can be tough. It can be tough, but it's nothing that you can't do. I want to say that when you go through that, you gain skills, you gain experience, and that only really makes you stronger and more independent. Um, I feel like that's one of the things I enjoy. It led me to getting a full ride to UNC Chapel Hill, and that itself is a reward, you know, for the hard work that I've been going through. Now, having this education, I can do more for my community and change that. I mean, my parents are the main reason why I continue my education because they work so hard every day to provide me with like the things that I need: food, water, shelter, and without them, I feel like because they're also immigrants, so even then, like they're the community that's being marginalized here in the United States. So why wouldn't I want to change that? Why wouldn't I want to better their life and better everybody else's life? So just advice is keep going, keep working, keep studying, because it might be hard, but in the long term, you're gonna see the reward, you're gonna see the benefit, and how your life is gonna change.
And we had some camp students on, I think it was over maybe 2 months ago now, who shared their experience. And it was intimidating at first, you know, going onto campus, and I mean, just the buildings and just the environment, throwing yourself into that and not having anyone else to tell you what it might be like. And the one, I forget her name now, she said that she almost quit. She almost dropped out, if not for the influence of camp. And so, yeah, migrant education works. I think that was my last question, but I do want to give you the opportunity, both you and Victor, for closing remarks, if you have any. Victor, I'm glad you could rejoin. I'm sorry there was a little bit of a technical difficulty there for you. Can you hear, or can we hear you now?
Yeah, can y'all hear me?
I think, yes, I can.
Yeah, my computer just decided to shut down. I
Oh, I'm
apologize.
sorry.
But yeah, I'm back. No, thank you so much. To answer your question about the documentary project, um, we're still working on it. So my youth group is going to pick up on it. So we're still going to work with our youth group on the documentary project. So, like America said, taking pictures, sharing their stories, and then we always post it on the website. So we'll let you know, once we have those stories ready to share. But no,
Speaking of
thank you so
website,
much for allowing us to come on and share our stories. And yeah, I have a special heart for organizations a special place in my heart for organizations that, work with farm workers because, y'all are the reason why some of us, a lot of us thrive and go on to spaces where we're not invited to a lot of the time, where we're not um, expected to succeed a lot of the times, but we make it because of people like organizations like y'all, like us, that we do a lot of this work. Um, no, I think if you're interested in our internship program, it is open in December. The Into the Fields internship opens in
the
December. The
link
application,
down there.
okay, the link is down there, and just apply, and it's very competitive, but we know we do accept 20 students each summer. But no, just connect with us, saf-unite.org. We have a lot of resources on there. We have a lot of research on there about farm workers. We have a lot of videos, movies, articles. If you go to our website and you're doing some research about farm workers, we have a lot of links to different resources on there. So yeah, just let us be a resource.
Great. And America, I just wanted to mention that there have been a lot of shout outs to you on the public chat. I don't know if you've seen. So everyone's behind you and really excited about your success. So if there's anything further, America, did you want to say anything else?
Well, at first I couldn't hear Victor. He was like,
oh, no.
but I just want to say thank you for having me here and allowing me to share my experience with Into the Fields. Certainly, it was a life-changing experience for me, and it really did change my perspective on the farm worker movement. And I think it's really important to note that if you can vote, please, because it is a privilege to vote. You're actually deciding who's going to be making the decision in your state, in your district, in the whole United States. And it's really important. We want to prevent the continuation of just people who don't really care, or we need people to vote. And I know a lot of young people can do that, especially in the Latinx community. Tell your cousins, tell your tias, tell whoever you need to vote, because I think it's really important.
That is a great closing message. And also participate in the census, right? Those two things.
Yeah.
And if I can add one thing, we are also working on census and voter registration work. Our youth are going to be doing some calls. And so we do have a specific link that we can share with people so that they can register to vote. And yeah, like America said, we need to be not only vote, but also, go vote. Register to vote, but go vote. But yeah. Thank you again, AFOP.
That process. And it requires a lot of advanced planning this year because of things. So yes, civic duty is very important. So I want to thank everyone, thank both of you especially for joining us. We've been looking forward to this chat for so long, and I'm glad it finally worked out and that you both, there was not too many technical difficulties this time. And yeah, we will be back again next week with other guests at 12:30 to be determined. But you can always count on me here at 12:30 on Children in the Fields campaign. And Victor, do you have something else?
Yeah, I forgot. We have a campaign on Facebook. If you go to our Facebook page, Student Action with Farmworkers, we are doing a campaign with the Farmworker Advocacy Network, calling up the governor of North Carolina for his negligence, with farm workers. So again, visit our Facebook page. There's things that you can do. You can call the governor. You can call different politicians that I guess not politicians, but different people in charge of the Department of Labor, Department of Ag, Department of Health and Human Services. There's things that you can do to take action, and we invite you all to take action with us. And but yeah, thank you again. Just wanted to push
You're
that out.
very welcome. Sounds good. All right, thank you both, and good luck with the rest of your semester, America, and Victor, good luck with all of your initiatives. Thanks again for joining us.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.